then, fellow hunters, today it's time to honor baby's first monster. The weaklings that greet us on our fledgling hunter journeys, providing that initial taste of what greatness is to come. The great jagresses of the world, easily forgotten, even more easily slain. Today we appreciate them. Except Velocidrome, because he's a boring-ass basic bitch and I hate him. Oh! So, to be liable for this lovely list, you need to be essentially a 1 to 2 star monster, an appetite whetter. And look, Velocidrome was the first large monster I ever slew back in the very first game, but it's such a pathetic, boring design and fight. A thin little jumpy raptor. Essentially everything it does is just done better by Great Jaggy, who's the hardest monster in the game, so both of them are being crossed out here early.
Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do anything better than you.
No, you can't.
And that's quite enough of that. Beginning then with number 5 is Azuros, the lovely little teddy bear. Now, I imagine a fair amount of people upon me saying his name kind of had a "oh yeah" moment, and that's what's so sad. 'Cause I love the little blighter. All he wants to do is to be left alone with his honey. Okay? The dude likes honey so much that he just sits there oblivious to the outside world, eating it to the point that predators just casually stroll up on him and, well, poor Azuros. Honestly, hunters going after him is like walking into the woods and fucking shanking Winnie the Pooh. Right? It's just, you don't do it. Okay, at least kill Piglet, the annoying little runt.
Oh, Mom.
You don't walk into the woods and strangle a teddy bear to death, you fucking monster. And that's what I felt like I was doing when Azuros just stood there, pretending to be all big and scary to try and get out of this fight, as it then just sits on all fours, making half-hearted, claw attempts at you to prevent you absolutely shredding it to pieces for having the audacity to exist. And that is a shame. Because I think he looks wonderful. The bare frame, the long slabbery tongue, the, of course, colouring that he is known for. He's just a lovely little introductory hunt. He just waddles around the place. He's got a bit of agility to him when he wants. His claws are, rather sharp, but he's not great at using them. He just gets honey and fish. The bare necessities. Oh! Have I peaked? You know what? Let's have a moment of silence for all the slain teddy bears in the wild. Okay, it's a short moment. They're only tiny and pathetic. Azuros, I'm gonna pour out some honey in your honor. In at number 4 then is Yian Kut Ku, this little pink bird wyvern that reared its head and became the second large monster I ever did slew. Look, I have a very mixed opinion and memory of him, because initially, right, you've just finished killing a pathetic Velocidrome, and then it sends you against Yian Kut Ku back in the first game. And you see as you walk up, ooh, it's got the wings, and it's kind of got the general frame of the actual, dragony things. I don't really know what they're all called yet. I was so innocent and naive back then, and it looks like it spits fire, and oh my, this is my first proper dragony thing, isn't it? And then you engage it, and you realize, oh, it's a flail chicken. I guess it's still cool. And I don't even know if I think it looks decent. I mean, the colouring is nice. I mean, who really likes pink, honestly?
Excuse me?
But I kind of like the bird look, the beak, and I like its erratic, chickeny movements, which work with its overall theme. The fireballs were impressive and admittedly deadly the first time around. Its pecking and just its general demeanor was just... it was memorable. That's why it's here. I do overall think fondly of the Kut Ku, but I can't help but still retain that core when I realized it wasn't my first full-on ferocious wyvern hunt, you know? I wanted a Rathalos straight away, and I got this bird brain. And honestly, one thing I'll never forget about Kut Ku for as long as I live is the fucking noise it makes. I seriously, it gives me, it's trauma, that noise. Like the single most irritating assault on my ears I've ever experienced in Monster Hunter.
Shut the fuck up!
It really is baby's first flying wyvern, despite being technically bird, but you know what I mean, and it does an excellent job of doing so while still carving out and coming across with its own distinct personality. And, you know, it does like to eat and feast upon conchu, which after all are
Satan's spawn!
So that's doing a great service to the world. Though, then again, it did also decide one day to hook up with a Rathian and give us Yian Garuga, so I guess we'll call the balance sheets equal on that one. But yeah, Yian Kut Ku, a very easy, but let's say amusing challenge to go up against early on in Monster Hunter, and one that has stayed with me for a while. I kinda am very interested in your guys' opinion on Mr. Kut Ku here. Though I do gotta give Kut Ku credit for starting my love of the monsters as animals and their biology, watching out for his frill flatting against his neck as a sign of near death instead of just limping, was a fond memory. Coming in then at number 3, this one might bug you, it's Seltas. This absolutely, I was buzzing when I first saw him. Because, like with Zeros, it was different, it was fresh, it was terrifying, a giant fucking beetle motherfucker flying at me, but it was so just cool. I will always remember the first introductory cutscene where it started hounding me and I was like, hang on a minute, this I did not expect. And you have this majestic, shiny, shelled insect with his imposing horn flittering round you with some serious speed. And speed and agility is not something that you associate with the early monsters because people are still finding their feet, and hitting something that's moving around the place like that isn't the most forgiving. So this guy really was one of the more demanding early monsters. Still not hard by any means, but certainly a step up from just beating on a Velocidome or a Jagras. And he had the squirting, like, gloopy abdomen shot, which was just and the fact that the death animation collapsing onto its back and its legs curling up like a spider as it's no longer able to effectively keep them pumped with fluid, it is just a real spectacle, and just on unique points alone, it scores its place on this list. I really love Seltas, and then later on you get the double whammy payoff of meeting its queen and seeing this cruel symbiosis forced upon it, as it's used as nothing more than a pawn and a turret to help crush you. Yoink. I mean, the whole thing feels like it comes full circle from that first little encounter, what feels like so long ago, earlier this morning, because you've been playing Monster Hunter for 15 hours, because god damn it's good. But still, full circle all the same. So, Seltas, I salute you, my little insect beetly buddy. Admittedly, I am biased towards the insecty monsters because they are just so unique compared to everything else, and I really dearly miss them in World. It's honestly the one thing that I'm genuinely sad is not there. Everything else would be nice, but the insects add such variety, and we just kind of don't have that anymore. Staring into this thing's little beady eyes as it twitches its forelimbs, rubs them together, and prepares to evaluate how it's going to spear you on its horn for a later little snack. It was a nice way to start a hunting adventure. So, yeah, Seltas, I think he looks badass, I think he was wholly unique, especially for the time, and I think he was a really interesting way to get hunters used to a pace of combat that maybe they wouldn't have to experience before. So, Seltas, good for you, old friend. Good for you. Just don't come anywhere near me, though, because you're a giant fuck-off insect. What do you want from me? In at number 2, then, well, I didn't want to have more than one from World, but I gotta give it to the new, well, training dummy, Great Jagras, because I do hold to the fact that he is essentially a perfect introductory monster. Not too difficult, not by any stretch of the imagination. He just lunges at you and flails and swipes and bites. He has an interesting little grab as he nips away at you, but nothing too damaging, nothing too quick. He's just, well, a big floppy lizard, and you know I have an affinity for the old lizards, given that I have 4 of them and a tortoise. Shout out to you, Backer! And I fell in love with Jagras almost immediately. Essentially a greedy iguana, I could not but adore him. And then when you see his belly action, when you see that, disgusting, yet strangely hypnotic, but, you know, kinda, I don't want to be near that, but at the same time, beautiful nature. It really left quite the impression. It's just a really unique creature that manages to stand out, have this personality, have his little jaglings that he quite clearly looks after and feeds as he regurgitates the freshly caught prey screaming in his stomach, and he has this whole instantly apparent almost realism and ecology about him that sets the tone for the entire game. It lays the groundwork that we are going to get somewhat appreciably, you know, air quotes, real creatures that interact in a believable way, in a believable yet fantastical landscape of giants, and we are going to walk with them and have this magical experience. And Jagras does all of that while still being a fairly okay fight, right? Especially once he's actually eaten something and he rolls over you. Can be a little bit intimidating for a new player, a little bit. Maybe, that actually did like 30% of my health. Wow, that's a lot of damage. Oh, sweet summer child. But at the time, that could certainly happen. And I just think he leaves a real impression. Like, how many of you, your first ever Monster Hunter game, it was World, you went in completely blind, you saw the Jagras eat that poor Kestodon, expand to huge belly. What was your reaction? Was there a moment of, I think aesthetically he is expertly designed. I think he has fascinating biology, and I think he's a fun yet very fair, learnable, trainable to new hunter fight. And just in a wonderful reptilian package that I just want to take home and cuddle! So why then is he not number 1? Well, there is an early monster that I cannot deny I love more, and it is the Great Macaw. From a mechanical standpoint, his actual combat experience is head and shoulders above every other early monster in all of Monster Hunter. And while I don't think this is necessarily good for completely accurate actually fresh-faced new players, because it might be a little bit too intense, though. Yeah, obviously he's still not, rock hard, but this little raptor kickboxer kangaroo, and just being able to say that sentence is phenomenal, is a striking figure. He is beautifully colourful, the feathers adorning his crest as king of his pack, and he fights in such an energetic and fun way, springing around the place, claws cycling as they come whirling at you. He's got this agility, he flies through the air, he can pack quite well, I was going to say punch, but kick, and just seeing him there on his little tail, perched as he looks for an opportunity, I think he's wonderful, he's magical. I have a smile on my face whenever he is near. I have long since held that he is the perfect intro monster. His actual demeanor then is just wonderful. You can tell he's having a great time almost, like he's having fun, having his first hunter experience as you're having your first monster, like you're just having a friendly little play date with this feathered friend. At least that's the impression I got. I sound a little bit crazy now. No, honestly, I was friends with the raptor and we were playing hide and go die. But no, I have nothing but just pure fun that comes to mind when I think of my experience with this guy. I absolutely adore everything that he, I was going to say stands for, but I guess tails for? He is by far and away the most interesting, aesthetically pleasing raptor-esque type, at least until Kulu, who does give him a bit of competition, but even then I do prefer how Macau looks and operates, and actually that might be a good way of saying it. Until Kulu, Macau was the only raptor-y intro fight that felt like it had personality to it, that really felt like it was this actual creature having a bit of a foray with you. Seriously, he even sounds like at times you've just told him an amazing joke, like for example, Plesiov's hitboxes. And then at other times it looks like he's just walked in on a jump scare, instead of just this basic redundant health pool that you had to slowly annoyingly churn through as it ineffectively tried to gently claw at you. But this guy with his absolutely muscled legs, powerful prehensile tail that he uses to defend his pack and leap upon prey, savaging them open with great gashes from his spring-powered kickboxing slashing cuts. Well, it just is a really unique experience, and I think his actual whole biology is one of the better ones of all of the early game monsters, only really beaten by Great Jagras himself, who is way more fleshed out, but such is the nature of Monster Hunter World. And he has himself a warning little red belly that he uses to intimidate predators. Like, he shows people his little red belly to scare them. How can you not love that? I mean, honestly, waves his tail at people to get them to leave, and to say how early on it is, I think he's actually more fun and better designed than really the next 5 or more monsters that you come across. That's just how highly I rate everything that this lovely kickboxer can do. So yeah, Great Macau, my feathered friend, you take the #1 spot. You are just a treat. Alright team, let me know your favourite terrible, weak, pathetic monsters, because I think they should have a place in all of our hunter hearts, and I'm very fascinated to see what you come up with. And as is becoming always, shout out to DigDugDack for some juicy footage. So not long now till Gen U. But for now, like you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. My name has been Josh, and I will see you soon. Goodbye. I know you're all hungry for a new outro, so while we all wait, I'll give it a bash, cause my videos hit you harder than a true charge slash. Ha! That's not my forte, but I know if you think like helping with an outro is something you'd love to give a go, then if you have the musical gift together, let's give the end of my videos a lift. Discord down below.